Hi, I'm Lizzie O'Halloran. I'm the founder of Help for Mums and also the author of Perfect Mums: How to Survive the Emotional Rollercoaster of Motherhood. So in this video series, we're going to be talking a lot about calm parenting. It's a calm parenting workshop that you can take the skills from these videos and actually start to apply them in everyday life. So we're going to be going through a bit of a journey through this video series, where I'll be taking you through some of the information that I go through in my calm parenting course that we'll go through at the end, discuss a little bit more at the end. But basically everything that you learn in this video series you can start to apply, and that is the point, that you can actually leave every video going, hey, there's something I can actually apply here, or there's something that I didn't know and maybe I've got a bit more information about now, and it helps me to cope better in my own life. So the first thing we're going to start with is just a little bit of an explanation about the motherhood paradox. So it's this thing that I call the motherhood paradox. And what is the motherhood paradox? Well, if you think about motherhood, it's very interesting because you become a mum, you have all these ideas of parenting, you have all these dreams about what it's going to be like to be a parent, and then of course parenting begins, and it can be quite a shock because there's not the ideal situation that perhaps you imagined or fantasized in your mind. There's a lot of late nights, there's a lot of demands on your time, things don't go according to plan necessarily because we're dealing with a human being. So we can't just follow a particular formula and it's going to work all the time because you're dealing with humans. So it can be quite a shock when we become a parent. And as a result of that, we usually go out seeking information and help. And if you think about the modern day times now, there's never been more information, there's never been more advice, there's never been more social media about parenting, and there's never been more guides about parenting, and yet all the research shows that mums have never been more stressed, have never felt more judged, have never felt more exhausted, have never felt more insecure, and in fact research in Norway showed quite a decline in self-esteem in mothers as well through pregnancy and also obviously when you become a mum. So it shows that motherhood's really impacting us significantly, yet how come it's getting worse when there's so much supposed help and advice available? And that's where that paradox comes in. It doesn't make sense. It's a little bit like the weight loss industry. How come we've never had more weight loss products on the market? We've never had more advice about how to be healthy. You can look on any social media platform and you'll find thousands of things on how to get fit and healthy, and yet the weight loss crisis is getting bigger and bigger all over the world. So there's a paradox in a lot of these things. There's so much more advice, so much more support, so much more things that you can do, yet we're finding ourselves feeling worse than we have before. And a lot of that paradox really comes into the fact that there's all this conflicting advice, and that makes us feel worse in a way because we can think we're doing something right, and then all of a sudden someone else has got a different idea, or we feel judged because we're not doing something in the way that someone else perhaps says that it worked for them or that was the best thing to do. So it can become quite conflicting, it can become quite stressful, and then in particular if you feel like you're not coping and then you're looking at someone else, then they seem to be doing so well, particularly in images that they might be portraying on social media, you then of course start to compare yourself and feel like, what am I doing wrong? And that's where that failure, that fear of failure and that actual failure, feeling like I actually have failed, comes in, because we start to compare ourselves and we stop remembering what we actually wanted out of parenting, the dreams that we had for ourselves and our children. And really, if you think about why you wanted to have a child in the first place, it's not to have a child in the perfect clothes and to go to the perfect school and to have the perfect friends and to buy the best of everything for the child. Was that really the fantasy that you had about your child? Or when you were thinking about having a baby, was it much more emotional and about connection and about love and about play and about having fun and all those sorts of things? Because it's really important to go back to those roots about, why did I want a child in the first place? Why do we want to extend our family? What were we hoping to achieve in this family? And maybe all this noise and all this external influence and pressure I put on myself, perceived pressure from external influences, maybe that's impacting on our ability to create this family that we really wanted, which is all about that love and respect and care and creating a safe environment and so on. So the motherhood paradox is very important to understand because it helps you then to start to be aware and to ask yourself on a regular basis, what type of parent do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Am I being me? Am I being the mum that I wanted to be? Or am I allowing the perceptions that I have about other people or the influences that I can see around me really impacting how I parent and how I view myself as a parent? These are the things that are important. If I start seeing myself as that confident, happy, energetic, loving, great mum that I thought I wanted to be, if I start believing that I am that person right now, could I just become that person? Could I just start to let go of the past, let go of the stress of the past, let go of the ideas and the influence and so on that have confused me up to this point, and start a clean slate from today and say, okay, step one, from today, I am going to just be me, be the mum that I always wanted to be. And that's where my clean slate is going to begin. And that's what I'd like you to do today, just to make that decision that today is going to be the clean slate, and I'm going to start to remember what it was that I actually wanted my future to be with my family, and start to create that in very small steps. Not get so bogged down by whether we've got the best house or the best clothes or the best tools available in school, or whether we've got the best friends, or whether we're the most popular, or whether all the mums think we're fantastic. I'm going to focus on me, on my values, on my family, on what I want and what's important to us. And that's my clean slate. So that's sort of the thing to sort of understand. That's where we come into an understanding of where we are now. So what is the actual missing piece though? So why are mums feeling so stressed, so overwhelmed, so exhausted? Yes, there's a big influence of this pressure we have over here, and that is making us feel, I guess, not as good as we should feel about ourselves. But the other thing that we are missing so much, because we are trying so hard to achieve this idea of perfect parenting, which is looking fantastic, having our kids looking fantastic, being so popular, living in the best houses, there's a reason why all these mums that appear to be doing so well have got a large following, because we wish to be doing as well as we see these mums are doing. However, we often don't see what's underlining all of that. Maybe they've got people that are cooking for them, cleaning for them, the nannies. Maybe they've got a partner that's helping them financially, or maybe they're just doing really well financially and they're able to pay for a lot of support. So we don't see the stuff that's actually going on in between here to get to that point. And so we shouldn't be trying to be someone else. We can admire that and think that's wonderful and lovely and happy, get some inspiration from there, but it's important to not make another jump and go, oh, I feel bad about myself because I'm not doing as well as this person appears to be doing on social media, for example. So the missing piece of the puzzle here is how you feel about yourself mentally and physically. So am I doing things that are going to improve my well-being on a daily basis? And this is crucial, because if I do that, if I really think about how I can look after myself on a daily basis, I will have more energy, I will feel happier, I will be more like my true self, I will not yell at my kids as much because I'm in a more calm state, I will be able to make more informed decisions, I won't be so cloudy-headed, I won't forget things, I won't feel overwhelmed and then ignore things. So a lot of our well-being as a parent comes down to that. How well am I looking after my health, my mental health, and then how well am I looking after my health here, my physical health. So am I making sure that I'm being active every day? And being active does not mean you have to go for a 10K run every day. Being active means doing something that helps you to release energy, helps you to relax, helps you to increase fitness, so that you have got the energy to play with your kids when you want to, or to do all the things that you have on your big list to do every day. So this is really important. And these are some of the things that we'll be talking a little bit more in the next videos. I just wanted you to understand that and sort of plant the seed of how important that is, and that is often neglected the most in parenting, because we think it's not as important. So I'll spend all my time and energy looking after my kids' sports and making sure my kids are eating really healthy and making sure that they've got everything, getting lots of sleep, feeling really good about themselves, boosting their self-esteem. But I'll sacrifice mine in order to achieve that. And that's not good for them as well as for you. Despite the fact that you're not being a very good role model and they're observing that and then role modeling you, even if you forget that, what about the fact that you're not going to feel good about yourself? You're not going to feel energetic, you're not going to feel happy, you're not going to feel motivated to do the things that you would like to do in order to be a good parent. And as a result, most likely, when you aren't feeling good, you're likely to take that out on the people that you care about, and the kids are often in that firing line. So really important to think about that missing puzzle, and it's just that little piece there, which is about our health and well-being. So the thing that happens though is that the common mistakes that a lot of mums make is that we run ourselves into the ground in order to make sure we get everything done and make sure no one criticizes us and make sure that our kids are doing as perfectly as possible. And you know, I have to say, like, I was watching a show recently about these kids that were athletes, and the kids were thriving, and I'm looking at the parents, and the parents looked absolutely exhausted in their efforts to get their kids to be these professional athletes. And I thought, wow, you see, so common. This is so common that the parent is just giving everything up of themselves in order to help their child. And there has to be a balance. You need to be able to go, how can I support my children and help them to be the best that they can, whilst not sacrificing myself to the ridiculous degree, because I'm going to get sick, or I'm going to get exhausted, or I'm going to have no energy, or I'm going to be resentful, or I'm going to get angry, and all these things are not good for your self-esteem and obviously your family life. The other thing that parents often do wrong, mums often do wrong, is listening to way too much advice, particularly on social media, because everyone's got different opinions, and that's why we talked about that paradox here. There's so much advice, there's so much noise over here, and everyone's an expert. Someone will say that, you know, you've got to put your baby to sleep in a separate room, and you should never go in there when it's crying, you should let it cry it out. Over here they say, no, that's terrible, you should sleep with your baby and never let it cry for 1 second. Who's right and who's wrong? There's supposedly these two parents, there's two people giving advice here, are meant to be experts, but they're giving completely conflicting results, and they're just one example. So we've got to really be able to listen to all this stuff and go, hang on, what do I feel comfortable with, and what's good for me? And making sure that we're not judging someone else for making a different decision to us. And that is very important, because, you know, for example, you might be someone that wants to carry your baby all the time, and you might have a friend that does the cried out method with the child, and you may see that as detrimental to the child, and that person may see it detrimental to your child, what you're doing. But we have to always focus on the outcome. So this is the other issue that mums don't often do, is instead of focusing on the outcome, they're focusing on the process of getting to that outcome. And the outcome should be, how's my child going over here? Is my child seeming happy and healthy? Is my child seeming like they're well-rounded and they're, you know, happy to go to school or kinder, or happy to see you and feel like, you know, they're playing well and they're not being isolated on their own? Are all those things happening? And if they are, then why are you worrying about how you're achieving that? It doesn't matter which method we go down, which route we go down, as long as we are doing the things that are ensuring our child is healthy, happy, safe, and secure. And these 4 things I talk about a lot in my book, Perfect Mum, because this is all what we should be focusing on. How do I get to there? How do I get to that focus of, is my child healthy, happy, safe, and secure? Because that's all I should be really judging myself on, not on whether my child is safe because I locked everything in the house, or whether my child is safe because I left it with a particular person, carer, or whether my child is safe because it was in childcare versus being at home with a nanny. We have to do what's right for us, and we have to do what's right for our child, and we know our child better than most people do. So we need to know our children well, we need to trust ourselves, and we need to do the things that we think are best for our kids in order to achieve those 4 things. The next thing that mums often do wrong, I say parents, but you know, we're talking about mums here, mums often do wrong, is lashing out when you're feeling angry or upset or emotional or tired. So we call that inconsistent parenting. because you're not parenting based on what's happening. You're not consistently having the same decisions based on what's happening. You're making decisions or reacting to issues that happen in your life or in your child's life based on the moods that you're in. So for example, you might find your child draws on the wall one day and you've lost it, you come home from work, you're exhausted, and you just scream at the child for doing that. And then later on you feel bad, and then you go through that whole cycle. However, another day you come home and you find the exact same thing, your child's drawn on the wall, and you're feeling really energetic because you've just had maybe you've done some exercise and you're eating really well today, and you're still upset about that, but you have a normal rational conversation with that. You try and explain why it's wrong. You try and talk about how you can ensure that it doesn't happen again. You talk about perhaps possible consequences if that happens again, but it's now calm. So we're getting the message is not getting lost in the yelling, which happens a lot, and this is what we forget. And so the last thing is also that what mums do is that they have unrealistic expectations of their children, particularly at certain developmental stages. So you might expect your child to get ready on their own when your child's 3, because maybe a friend's child does the same thing. Well, is that realistic for your child? Should they be expected to do that? And is that causing more arguments than you just doing it until your child's ready to do it? I mean, that's a very small example, but often we have expectations that are not realistic or not fair based on what your child is going through or what's going on in your life or your financial situation and so on. So these are things to just be very mindful of, that we often can make these mistakes because we're just running on the treadmill of parenting and we're not really stopping to think about what we're doing, and we're not feeling good about ourselves. I mean, if you're here listening to this video, it's because you want to be a calmer parent. You know the facts that being a calm parent significantly increases the chance of your child having a healthy and balanced life and feeling good about themselves, building their self-esteem. And it also impacts your relationship, significantly impacts your relationship. So in the next video, we're going to talk much more about that health and well-being, what you can do in order to increase that health and well-being for yourself, and then to be able to parent more calmly with confidence. So if you have any questions about the things that we've spoken about today, send your question through to info@helpformums.com, and I'm going to pick a number of questions to answer tomorrow, and I will post those questions in a separate video before we have video number 2. So just remember, this video is only going to be up live for 24 hours, and then it's going to be taken down for video number 2 to go into the next step where we're talking about health and well-being in parenting. I look forward to seeing you then.